The NASCAR world has spent the last several weeks mourning the heartbreaking loss of Kyle Busch, and throughout that difficult period, one question continued to follow the sport everywhere fans gathered online. How would Brexton Busch move forward after losing his father at such a young age? Many people expected the 11-year-old to take as much time away from racing as nobody would have questioned that decision. After all, Kyle Busch was not only one of NASCAR's biggest stars, but also Brexton's greatest supporter, mentor, and role model. But what happened this week at Charlotte Motor Speedway has completely changed the conversation across NASCAR. Because only hours after attending a private memorial service for his late father, Brexton Busch made a decision that left fans emotional, surprised, and incredibly inspired. And the reaction from the NASCAR community says everything about the impact that moment had. Make sure you watch until the end, because the moment Brexton stepped back onto the racetrack just hours after the memorial left NASCAR fans emotional, and what happened afterward makes this story even more powerful. Brexton returned to the racetrack. The young driver was back at Charlotte Motor Speedway preparing for the Cookout Summer Shootout, one of the most important grassroots racing events for young competitors. On the surface, it might sound like a simple return to competition, but for those who understand what this family has been through over the past few weeks, it represented something much bigger. What made the moment so emotional was the fact that racing had always been one of the strongest connections between Brexton and his father, which gave his return to the track a much deeper significance. And that's why so many NASCAR fans immediately viewed the moment as a tribute to Kyle Busch. The images and reports coming out of Charlotte quickly spread across social media, and the response was almost identical everywhere people discussed the story. What stood out wasn't anything Brexton did behind the wheel that day, but the determination he showed simply by being there. A decision that earned respect and admiration from NASCAR fans across the country. As the story spread online, many fans shared nearly identical reactions. Some said Kyle Busch would be incredibly proud of the strength Brexton showed, while others described the young driver's return as exactly the kind of decision his father would have wanted him to make. And they were talking about how difficult it must have been for an 11-year-old to walk back into that environment so soon after such a devastating loss. What made the moment even more meaningful was how closely Kyle had been involved in every stage of Brexton's racing journey. For years, NASCAR fans watched Kyle support his son's racing journey. Whether it was attending races, offering advice, celebrating victories, or sharing proud moments with fans, Kyle was deeply involved in every step of Brexton's development. That connection is one reason why this return carried so much meaning. The return carried an emotional significance that went far beyond racing, as Brexton stepped back into an environment closely tied to countless moments he had shared with his father over the years. Yet despite that challenge, Brexton showed up, and that decision resonated with thousands of people throughout the racing community. Support quickly poured in from fans across the NASCAR world, with many describing the moment as exactly what Kyle would have wanted. Others said they were amazed by the strength Brexton displayed under circumstances that would be difficult for anyone, regardless of age, making it clear that he was not facing this difficult journey alone. What also stands out is how much pressure naturally comes with the Busch name. Even before this tragedy, Brexton was already one of the most talked about young drivers in grassroots racing. Despite being only 11 years old, he has already built an impressive reputation through multiple victories and strong performances that have attracted attention from fans throughout the racing world. Fans have followed his progress for years because of the obvious connection to one of NASCAR's most successful champions. But now that attention has reached an entirely different level. Every race, every interview, And every milestone will inevitably be viewed through the lens of Kyle Busch's legacy. That isn't an easy burden for any young driver. Yet this week demonstrated something important. Brexton is not trying to run away from his father's legacy. He's embracing it in a way that has earned respect throughout the NASCAR world. Many already view him as one of the brightest young talents in grassroots racing. And moments like this only reinforce the maturity and character that continue to impress fans and competitors alike. What's remarkable is that this story isn't really about competition at all. It's about perseverance. It's about finding the strength to continue pursuing something you love even when life delivers unimaginable heartbreak. For many fans, that is why this moment felt so powerful. Racing has always been more than just a sport. For many people, racing represents far more than competition, serving as a tradition that brings families together, connects entire communities, and creates memories that are passed down from one generation to the next. When Brexton returned to the track, many people saw a young driver refusing to let those memories disappear. Instead, he chose to honor them. And as more details emerged about the timing of his return following the memorial service, the emotional impact only grew stronger. The NASCAR community has always rallied around its own during difficult times, and this situation has been no different. Messages of support continue to pour in from fans, drivers, teams, and members of the racing world who understand exactly how significant this moment was. At only 11 years old, Brexton still has an incredibly long journey ahead of him. With so much of his racing career still ahead of him, the question now isn't just where Brexton goes next, but how remarkable his journey could become in the years to come. But this week wasn't about any of those achievements. This week was about character. It was about determination. And it was about a young racer taking an important step forward while carrying the memory of his father with him. That's why so many people were moved by what happened at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Because sometimes the most memorable moments in sports have nothing to do with trophies or checkered flags. Sometimes they come from the strength people show when facing life's toughest challenges. And for many NASCAR fans, that's exactly what they witnessed from Brexton Busch this week. As his racing journey continues, one thing is becoming increasingly clear. The legacy Kyle Busch built inside NASCAR remains incredibly powerful. And now, through every lap Brexton runs and every challenge he overcomes, that legacy will continue to inspire people in a completely new way. Perhaps the most remarkable part of this entire story is the timing. Just hours after attending a private memorial service honoring his father, Brexton chose to return to the place where so many of their shared memories were created. For many NASCAR fans, that decision transformed an ordinary racing appearance into one of the most emotional and meaningful moments the sport has witnessed this year. The story is far from over. In many ways, it feels like a new chapter in the Busch family's racing legacy is only beginning, and NASCAR fans everywhere will be watching to see where that journey leads next. What do you think about Brexton Busch's decision to return to the track so soon after the memorial? Share your thoughts in the comments, and if you're new here, subscribe to NASCAR Nation News and turn on notifications so you never miss the latest NASCAR headlines and stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.